Vice is always pushing Satanism. They're always glorifying it. They have many articles talking about the Satanic Church, the Church of Satan, I should say, the Satanic Temple, other organizations affiliated to Satanism, and they try to push how, oh, that's really atheism. They push that whole narrative. They push the satanic panic. They're always there to jump at the defense of these sexual predators who get exonerated, who get, let off the hook. They're always there. And they're always putting out this subliminal messaging to make Satan and God kind of fictionalize it in a sense, but also, make it look like Satan's cool and Christians are crazy. And Vice, if you look, their demographic, their biggest demographic is millennials. 18 to 34 for the most part is their demo, their entire demo. That's about 76% of the people who follow Vice. Now, Vice is just nothing but crud. I mean, people talk about BuzzFeed and the Huffington Post, which is trash. Vice is just as much garbage. But look at this article. Is Satan still cool? The teens speak. So they're talking about Satan, the satanic panic, and I'll read you some of it. It's really ridiculous. And then they ask teens what they think of Satan. And the answer for every teen, they do this thing at the bottom. It's like, verdict. And they're all like, oh, Satan's still cool. Satan still kicks, rear end. F yeah, Satan's still the man. It's unbelievable what's going on in this world. For those of us who have eyes to see and ears to hear, obviously we're aware that this was going to happen, that this is prophecy, the falling away and the glorifying of Satanism. But it's really unbelievable and amazing to watch because it's not as in your face as you would think as far as everybody out there just being worshipers of Satan, because they don't realize it, right? I mean, it is in our face what's going on, but I'm saying from the standpoint of the masses out there, they're not walking around worshiping Satan, a lot of people, not in public at least, but they don't realize that they're subliminally under mind control and worshiping him, living that do with that will mindset. So, the article says Satan is the original influencer. Virtually all of the major religions have some version of the devil, the archetype master of human temptation and sin. He has been a staple of popular culture since the beginning of time, dazzling audiences with starring roles in early religious texts and songs like The Devil Went Down to Georgia, DMX's Damien. While the Dark Lord remains active in his work of sin, some might point out that he has fallen off in the way of clout in the digital age. While he boasts an impressive 1.4 million followers on Instagram, the Satan account mostly posts recycled memes. This could be seen as a clumsy tactic to attract a younger audience to the culture. So you see what they're doing right there. They're kind of just saying, like, Satan's not real, God's not real. They're trying to fictionalize this stuff. And they go on to talk about the satanic panic, which recounts the way the devil permeated youth culture 40 years ago, hitting fever pitch with co-production with bands like Iron Maiden, Def Leppard, Judas Priest. During this time, increasingly risky pop stars like Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, and Prince added to the idea of sinful use, ruining modern society. To underscore how bonkers satanic panic was, in 1990, Judas Priest lead singer Rob Halford was called to testify in a Nevada courtroom about subliminal messages in the song Better By You, Better Than Me from their Stained Class album. The case revolved around the 1985 suicides of two young men, 20-year-old James Vance and 19-year-old Ray Belknap, whose families said were under the influence of Judas Priest's satanic messaging when they took their own lives. The case was dismissed. You see, this is the stuff that they get away with. Subliminal messaging is all that the music industry is really about. It's about subliminal messaging. It's about putting a spell on the audience, because that's what these songs are. They're spells. I've shown you, many people have shown you backmasking, okay? And then showing you how, Aleister Crowley with his law of reversals, how they're supposed to do things backwards, but also how the brain processes words backwards. Whether you're hearing the song, you're not in real time going to pick up what it's saying backwards, but your brain is going to. And there is subliminal messaging in it. It goes all the way to the Beatles, it goes to Helter Skelter, you name it. But they try to make a mockery of it, right? So they always are using this sarcastic deflection to be like, oh man, Judas Priest got called to court because people committed suicide. No empathy for the people that committed suicide. No talk of mind control. No talk of the experiments done by the CIA and MK Ultra. None of it. None of it. Just always discrediting this. And I mean, look at the repetition. That's why I'm showing you this. I mean, how many articles and how many things out there are just constantly deflecting and using like sarcasm and not talking about anyone who's a victim, really. It makes themselves the victim, right? Oh, Judas Priest was the victim because he got called to testify, right? Just like these predators at these daycare centers. Oh, they're the victims because the kids made it up. Like, no one cares about these kids who are getting abused. Nobody seems to, except us. It says Satan's relationship with music goes way back. Perhaps one of the biggest historical ironies is that the organ, an instrument commonly found in churches, was once considered Satan's instrument. This idea is a bit abstract, but according to some interpretations of the Bible, the devil had the makings of percussion instruments and wind instruments, such as the organ, built into his very being. Beelzebub even has his own musical note, or rather interval, the difference between two pitches. So they're going on and talking about this stuff, and then they're going, well, the roots of modern music being related to evil have sad and disturbing roots. You know, jazz and blues music spread through black communities in New Orleans in the early 20th century. Some white groups deemed it devil's music. The idea stuck, as the documentary Devil's Music 1920s Jazz puts it. I mean, this is all stuff that's true, though. You know? And they take the stuff and they spit on it. They make a big joke about it. And people just go, yeah, mind control and all this stuff's not real. It's like, I don't understand how anyone could believe mind control is not real. All you have to do, like I said a million times, put on Animal Planet or one of these channels, Discovery Channel, and watch these shows where they study the behavior of animals, right? You know that this animal's going to do this. You know that that animal's going to do that. But people are so prideful, they're like, yeah, but we're not on the same level of a lion or a zebra. Yeah, you know why? Sadly, those animals are actually way smarter than the human race is. But they'll tell you, oh, we're the king beast here. Yeah, are you the king beast? So you're thrown into the middle of a safari with a lion sitting out there. You ain't the king of the castle anymore, folks. You know, but people, they're like, oh yeah, you know, because we have guns and we can hunt these animals. They don't realize that, you know, there's in studying animals and human behavior, you know, I mean, they even teach classes at these awful, you know, jokes of colleges on human behavior. Yet they don't believe mind control is real. They don't believe that they can be swerved one way or the other, manipulated at all, because they're so prideful. That's why you see this constant push of pride all over the television. Jazz and blues never die, the article says, and those styles were, of course, co-opted by contemporary rock artists. The youth followed and continued sitting in an interview with Noisy's Kim Kelly, the editor of Satanic Panic, summarized how the devil saturated the social conscious. The 1970s popularized the idea that occultism was prevalent even in suburban neighborhoods, so that made it easier for people to buy into the hysteria when it happened. Even though the Arab, this is just a joke, even though the Arab bore his name, Satan himself seemed like a pawn in this whole hysteria. Any kind of occultism, paganism, or harmless fantasy lore got muddled up into supposed Satanism in the 80s. Metalheads embraced the taboo, spawning entire genres dedicated to serving the Lord of Lies. Bands like Gorgoroth, I never heard of these, Behexen, and many other black metal acts continue to push the pro-Satanism agenda. I mean, so they're like, Satan's not real, but, oh, so these guys created these bands where they do nothing but sing and praise Satan, and a genre pretty much about black magic called black metal, because it's a big joke, because Satan doesn't exist. Oh, you're right, remember, we have to believe it's like a catchy gimmick. Oh, it's just their niche, it's their gimmick. I mean, give me a break. Goes on to talk about Lil Uzi Vert, how he pays his respect to Satan, Marilyn Manson, Gigi Allen. Uzi, in fact, has a song called 444 plus 222, which adds up to 666. Satan's favorite number, and has taken on the title of Lucifer himself. Like, what? I mean, what? Of course, they say he somehow built a convoluted non-Satan conspiracy around his imagery. This is the hip-hop singer Sa Babi. I have no idea, but this is just how they twist stuff and how they glorify it in a sense. They're like, oh, it's kind of cool because, you know, we could troll these crazy Christians, and yeah, little Lucifer, he's trolling us. He decided to make a whole album, put millions of dollars in production behind it so he could troll the Christian audience out there with 444 plus 222. I mean, it's unbelievable. He goes on to say, after such a storied musical career, is Lucifer still a thing? Why isn't he doing stadium shows? Does Satan have a streetwear line? I wanted to find out. Well, he does, actually. Look at all the symbolism. People are wearing it all over the place. All the main brands use satanic occult symbolism in their, you know, on their outfits. It says, I turn to people that know about this stuff, then I go on and ask the youth, right? So they just show a bunch of kids, teens, and they ask them what the verdict is on Satan, and they go, cool. You know, someone says, F yeah, he's so cool. They're showing up devil horns. I mean, these are teens. mean, it's incredible. It really is. And this is the the demo that they're targeting. And that's why Vice, once a month, Vice will put out an article about Satanism. At least. Whether it's promoting the temple or the church of Satan, or it's, in a sense, doing something like this, damage control deflection. When some of these cases come up where, people molest children at daycare centers and perform satanic rituals, they'll cover it because they'll defend those people, not the children. They'll defend those people and say how crazy all these people were to condemn them based on what? Oh, based on no evidence. Oh, no, it's no evidence that children came forward because they just knew all of these rituals exactly how they went at 4 years old, right? And they just wanted to tell everybody about drinking blood and how they were forced to kill babies themselves. I mean, it's unbelievable how obvious this stuff is. I mean, deflection, 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 sarcasm, 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 constantly talking about it, right? Using repetition. They're doing the same articles over and over, and they're using repetition to get people under mind control to believe that this stuff isn't real, when in fact it is. So Vice, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolute disgrace, absolute joke. And they're doing nothing but targeting people's minds and polluting them into thinking that this stuff isn't real when they know damn well that it is. So I wanted to show everybody out there, this article got under my skin. Because it's just, the repetition that they're using is it's so constant. This is how people just kind of get dulled into a sleep. They constantly are reading these articles and seeing this stuff where it's fictionalizing God and the devil. Meanwhile, all they're doing is talking about God and the devil in every song and every show, right? So, Right, so let's get this straight. It's not real, the devil's not real, but all these musicians, all of them are singing about him, mentioning a deal with the devil, mentioning Satan. But they're doing it because why? Oh, right, because they're just trolling? Right, absolutely. Give me a break. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.